Down at beautiful Breck's Mill, where my crew and I gather on Friday nights to solve all the world's problems, one of our frequent guests is a guy we call Preacher Tom. Now, Preacher Tom's a great guy, a fun guy. Every time he's around, he and his bride, they're very fun to be with, high energy. Everybody likes him. I like him. Preacher Tom, in turn, he likes Elvis. He loves Elvis. He really likes Memphis. Remember the first time he was telling me about Memphis, I kind of, didn't really know him that well. I just kind of raised my eyebrow and I said, I don't think he knew me. I just raised my eyebrow and said, hey, I heard Memphis, it's kind of a dangerous place. Which it is. It's one of the truly dangerous cities in America. One of the reasons is a lot of white people who go there, a lot of white people who live there, they don't think that it is. Anyway, so I kind of said, hey, I hear it's a dangerous place. And he spent the next 10 minutes telling me, no, Colin, it's not dangerous. It's perfectly fine. I went to I go to Graceland. I go here, I go there. Then he started telling me how he went to this, recording studio here and there. But most of the recording studios, these old ones that are in the hood, when you go there, you have to go there like under heavy armed guard. No kidding. Armed guard with you, an armed guard in the studio that gets you in the studio. You look at all the old black musicians playing, basically like cardboard boxes with strings on them. And everybody goes, wow, that's amazing. And when you leave, you better have the armed guards when you leave. So I said, hey, that sounds a little dangerous to me. He goes, oh, no, I just have to know where to go. Okay, I know where to go in Memphis. Nowhere, because stuff like this happens. A white guy driving through his neighborhood looks at a fella. The fella did not like the way he looked at him, so he killed him. This whole mind-reading thing, it's kind of a common theme. We hear it a lot on these videos. We heard it a couple weeks ago when somebody made a video called Why Don't Black People Kill More White People? Had interviews with like 12 black people and people of color, what a hoax, talking about that. And the fellas and lovely ladies were talking about how they just knew in their mind when white people look at them, they're thinking crazy things. They're thinking how much they don't like black people. I can tell that. A lot of this kind of talk comes from the Farrakhan crowd. And one of their themes is that black people are the original people with all these gifts that they have, but that white people lost through some kind of genetic mutation that kind of made us lose all these natural gifts that people had, including rhythm and dancing and singing. Yes, they say that. I guess we have to add to that list now, mind reading.
New court records say a Cordova man killed his neighbor last week because he was upset at the way the man looked at him. Bryant Ward made his first appearance before a judge this morning for shooting his 61-year-old neighbor to death. It happened in the Riverwood Farms subdivision off Macon Road in Cordova. That's where local I-Team senior investigator Jenny DePrizio is tonight with the latest. Jenny?
Yeah, people who live here say this is a safe neighborhood, a quiet neighborhood. But last week, a man was shot to death right in front of that home. It's on the lawn mark where police found shell casings from last week's murder. Bryant Ward went before a judge today for shooting 61-year-old Scott Hervey. Neighbors don't understand why this happened. Both the victim and shooter live on the same block, not far from one another.
To hear that happen to such an elderly guy from the neighborhood, and the people didn't live over here, I kind of feel like it's a little something more to it than what they're saying.
According to court records, Ward's sister said she and her brother were parked in front of their home when Hervey drove by, and her brother made eye contact with him, and her brother became upset. He leaned out of the car window and started firing shots at Hervey. Ward got out of the car and continued to shoot the victim. Hervey then jumped out of his car and ran to the front door of this home, screaming for help. In his hand, a piece of paper with the license plate number of the car Ward was in. According to court records, Hervey frequently monitored activity in his neighborhood in a neighborhood watch capacity. We're told the neighborhood doesn't have a neighborhood watch program, but does have 24-hour private security. And one security officer asked us to leave the neighbors alone.
For you all coming out and the neighbor right here and neighbors over here really would wish that you all respect their wishes. And
of course, it's not just Memphis. If somebody said, well, what's the opposite of Memphis in this country? Where can you go where you go, where people can walk the streets and go take care of their daily business without worrying about this exponential level of black crime, violence, murder, mayhem, and chaos that we see around the rest of the country. You know, there's just Heather McDonald and Coulter this week are talking about the Bureau of Justice numbers just came out from last year. 590,000 interracial violent crimes, not counting murder. 530,000 were black on white. The rest were white on black. 90% of the interracial violence in this country is black on white. Yeah, even in Omaha, Nebraska.
Looking for a gunman who shot and killed an Omaha store clerk last night.
Police found the 21-year-old Bahi Alteri inside the store near 32nd and L. He was dead. Now, friends of Alteri's mourned his death today. John Chapman has new details here at 5.
The victim's father owns this store. He says it will be closed for a while. This morning, friends of Bahi Alteri set up a memorial, dropping off balloons and flowers. Alteri was well liked in the South Omaha neighborhood.
We dropped off some balloons earlier, and we came back to drop off his baby and stuff, and we wanted to pay our respects. He was a super sweet guy.
Allie Rydberg lives in the neighborhood. She says it's hard to believe her friend is gone.
Our family, we've lived here for years, and he's always his family's so sweet. He was just a really good guy, and so we didn't believe it, and then we saw his name on the news, and it was very heartbreaking.
Last night around 7:30, police were called to the tobacco and vape shop near 32nd and L to investigate a shooting. They found the body of 21-year-old Bahi Alteri inside the store. Police believe this man caught on the store's security camera is a suspect in the killing. Chad Brink tells us he works as a maintenance man in the store. Chad is having a hard time dealing with this homicide.
Life's precious, and one day we're here, one day we're not, and all for a couple $100, and that's the shame of it all. It's the shame of it all.
Chad tells us he worked on the security cameras in the store. He's hoping that work pays off.
There's 9 cameras in this place. They have a picture of him. Only thing I can pray is, once again, that they will get this man and justice will be served.
See, I never bought into this whole people of color routine. It's usually just a black person trying to spread the dysfunction around over Hispanics and Asian people, dysfunction that doesn't exist on any level close to the black violence and dysfunction, but if you spread it around, it looks better. Anyway, so here's a story of this Hispanic guy walking through downtown Minneapolis. Yeah, a place we've done many stories on as a center of black crime and violence, mostly because the people who run Minneapolis are just so down with the cause, they just don't want to arrest a black person and put another black person in prison because there's too many there already. So everybody knows, go down to Hennepin, go downtown Minneapolis, nobody's going to mess with you no matter what you do. Well, I guess if you kill somebody, they're going to kind of pay attention to that. That's what happened here. Hispanic guy and his girlfriend walking around. Hispanic guy, the black fella says something really nasty to the Hispanic guy. That's the drill. That's a black thing. You say something to a guy with his girl, all of a sudden there can only be one outcome. The guy must defend his girl's honor, and you are going to get your butt kicked by the fella and his other fellas. Yeah, that happens. Down in Conway, South Carolina, we had a guy go into a bank, killed 2 tellers. Now, the FBI will tell you that there are 4,500 bank robberies. I'm in the numbers today. 4,500 bank robberies in this country last year. Very few of them do people get hurt. This one, the guy later told everybody he went into the bank with the express purpose of hurting somebody. Shot 2 people, went up to one of them, put a bullet in their head. Both of those people died. This is in Conway, South Carolina. Black on white murder. Wow. It's a thing. Now, Charles Blow at the New York Times, we talked about this on my podcast today, or Friday. I hope you check it out. Charles Blow of the New York Times, he really wants to know, why aren't white people more forgiving? because black people are always forgiving white people for 40, 400, 4 million years of whatever. So Mr. Charles Blow of the New York Times, one of their big dog columnists, the king of all black people at the New York Times. Yeah, we talked about this on my podcast on Friday. Hope you check it out. Anyway, he did a tweet the other day asking why white people aren't more forgiving. After all, black people are forgiving of white people, aren't they? We forgive white people all the time. After all, you never hear black people say anything about 40, 400, 4 million, 4 billion years of white people messing with black people. They've forgiven us. They never talk about that, do they? Well, the fact is, white people forgive black people all the time. It's called criminal justice reform. It's called letting black people out of prison before they're supposed to be out. It's called not sentencing them to how long they should go in. It's called zero bail. Somebody commits a really violent crime, including shooting a cop, you can be back out on the street before the cop gets out of the hospital. True story. Lots and lots of bad business going on in this country. Now we got the guys at the New York Times trying to pretend like it's not happening. Now we've got them wondering when white people are going to get their act together, start treating black people better. Nobody wants to talk about this 90% black on white versus white on black violence that we document here every day. We document on my podcast Monday through Friday. Man, it's really taken off. Thanks a lot, you guys, for listening and telling all your friends about it. Really appreciate it. It's growing like 20% a month. That's a lot of people now.
Please, sir. I want some more.
Hate to say this, but I think having my podcast grow like crazy, have people spread it around to all their friends, and they spread it to their friends, or spread it to their friends, yeah, that definitely makes the black kids angry.
The black kids angry, angry, so angry. Don't get the black kids angry, angry, so angry. Don't get the black kids angry.